Hello everyone, this is Avkash and you are welcome to another tutorial. Today we are going to take a very first look at H2O AI Cloud. It's a new offering coming out from H2O, and yesterday was my very first day when I gave the test drive to H2O AI Cloud, and after getting some familiarity with the H2O AI Cloud functionality and the services and the applications over there, so I decided to today create this video and share with you. Most of the information is very new. Some of the things are at really very early stage. So please enjoy this tutorial as the unpacking of H2O AI Cloud. I'll be creating the individual video to go deep into each different services which are available at H2O Cloud. So if you are interested to learn specific features in deep and in detail, then there will be another video to complete your desire. So without any further delay, let's start our test drive. Here I do have H2O AI Cloud access enabled, and I have already created one workspace for me. As you can see here, my workspace is personal work, for example. So this is my personal workspace. I could create various of these sections where the H2O AI Hybrid Cloud can be enabled. Here are the settings and URL. And if you see here that the launching this cloud is actually using the Okta, which you can see from here. So let's launch the H2O AI Cloud. I'm logging into with my business email account, and at the very first look you are going to see is that left side there is a various categories available where various pre-built AI apps are available. For starters, there is help available. So depending on the category you are interested into, there are pre-built app available. So you are in App Store, and here is the categories of applications available. Let's start from bottom. There's a model monitoring. So that's something really very good, because if you have a model which is already available, you can very quickly monitor your model. And here you could see that monitoring and feature drift detection from production model. Very good point. And in a separate presentation, I will be digging more into it. App development. Here you are seeing the various H2O wave apps are available. Let's look into this one, which is like a very simplest version of app. And if you try to select any app, you are going to see three different things. First, the information about the application and some of the screenshots. Second, you are going to get the application version and whether it's running or paused state, or it's not running. As you can see here, I do have three different instances already active or available. If we select the number of instances I have, it shows that I do have these three instances, but as of now, these instances are paused. If I want to start them, I could go and I could resume them, and after a few seconds to minute, these instances will be up and running. If I will not use, after 3 hours, these instances will be automatically paused. As you can see here, that whether the instance visibility is a private or is accessible to all users. So if you would want to control its access, as you can see. So the instances brings you to the number of instances. So let's go back to our App Store where we were looking into these different applications. We were here in app development and we were trying to look into this guess the number app. So that's about our application, and you could see here that application instance state is here, and at this point you would want to run it. While it is starting this application, is actually creating a new instance for this application. Guess the number. And after this instance will be available, my instance count will grow, and as you could see here, the instance count became 4. And at this point the pop-up was also created, but because of my settings the pop-up is here. So if we would want, we could say let's enable the pop-up here and make sure pop-ups are enabled, and you will start getting some of those pop-ups. I do have 4 instances available. 3 were the past one I have just created, and this instance is there, and we could pause it if we want this instance. As you can see here, this instance is going into the pause state, and here are the images, and lower upper you have made same guess. Let me close this. It is running app instance here. As you could see here, visit resume. So remember we paused it, so that's the reason this visit button is disabled. We will resume it. As you could see here, this is the application UUID, and that application is started .cloud.h2o.ai. There you go. So this is the whole H2O Wave app UI. This is the username. Let's play it. Number, let's guess this. Close it. Here's the score. Here are the gases. So you got very quick idea how this application look like. If you no longer needed this application, you can close this application instance and come back to your application state, and you can pause it. Now we have 4 instances, and the number of instances, depending on how active you are with your work, you could have them. If you would want to change the application state here, as you could see, I would like to terminate because I no longer really needed this application. I can terminate that, and that instance will be gone. So we have seen that depending on any of these applications which are pre-built for you available, you could very quickly try and learn. We will take one more example here, and then COVID-19 vaccine progress. It's a really very nice dashboard. As you could see here, this is a vaccination. It just gives you some information about the vaccination drive worldwide, and here you are looking into the vaccination result only related with United Kingdom. So there are these 2 images, and this application is related with healthcare, and it's just the forecasting, and it's also the exploratory data analysis. You could like this. So let's try to run it, and this is a very good example to show the EDA with H2O AI Cloud. Instance is starting. We have 4 instances here. So this is the vaccination progress. That instance was started. This is as of today. It's already running. It is here. Application is loading. So this is where the data has been read from the API. It's using the UTC date, which is 7.5 hours ahead of us. So target population to vaccine, and here is showing the United States, few India, daily vaccination. So this area is for, this is looks like a global, and this is area is for the country Singapore. If we change this and look into a country, for example Thailand. So this is a Thailand daily vaccination and total vaccination per 100. And this map is belong to some of these countries. As you could see here, that these are the 5 countries are selected. If we would want to add Australia in it, and here Australia is also added. So this graph is there, and these are just the aggregated results. So the vaccination overview for Thailand. So these are the Thailand. So Thailand. So this and this is Thailand, and this graph is belong to here, I think. And so daily vaccination, this is a population at risk. Healthcare app demo with H2O.ai Cloud. Let me close it and I will pause it because I do not want to use the resources when I am not using the application. So why should I waste the resources? So we were in App Store in Explainable AI. Here we have the anomaly detection example, and it looks like a King County housings is a very old Kaggle data. So, and anomaly detection using isolation forest algorithm and anomalous bound. So this looks like the result data. Yeah. So there are 3 screenshots available. We could run this app and see details about the anomaly detection. Here are 2 use cases related with anomaly detection: King County housing and S&P 500 dataset. Here the which date, high, low, and what value it was open. So these are the sample data. We have rows 100 of 100, X and Y. Here are the rules for isolation forest. Here you could update the rules. And finally, after the anomaly detection is completed, here you can see the data point and the results. So IT and for the King County housing. If I look into the SMP dataset and then look into the result for that, it should have SMP. Okay, so this is where. So it's a very good example to see the anomaly detection using H2O AI Cloud pre-built apps. If we want to do the new use case, there are the 2 use cases, I think. Okay, so right now we cannot add a new because I was thinking to just upload a new data set and see how it works. So if we want to use that, we need to request H2O. Let's close this app and make this app to do not run. So we should not waste the resource. One example I would like to see the auto insights. That was very interesting to see. Yesterday I have seen, and I would like to share with you guys to take a look about H2O auto insights. While the application is running, you can see the instance log, and this really proves that if you are hitting this state for this app, the log shows that there was some error. So yesterday this app is started, but today is no longer is running. I would go ahead and close this. Next, my apps, and in order to build my own apps, we are going to use this section. It means the list of my apps will be here. Import new app, and as of now, this message comes, and because my account is just exploratory or the demo account, so I did requested book a time so I could have understanding how I could get the single tenant environment created for company program, so we could actually deploy a new application in my apps section. My instances are the instances which are active and running. So I believe that when I have a my apps are available here, and when my apps instances are running, those instances will be listed here. Next are the my models, and when I selected my models, it's opened a new window, H2O AI Cloud MLOps pipeline section. So that's where your models are. If I look into the my AI engine, it opens up another tab, and here is team.cloud.h2o.ai. It means the different engines H2O provide are available to just use here. So we have H2O. This is the H2O cluster. So this is a H2O open source cluster running latest version 3.36.01. We can also have the H2O driverless AI cluster, and in order to connect this, you have to download the Python client. As you could see here, this download the H2O Steam, the wheel. If you would want to learn how to connect, how to use this library, my suggestion would be to please look into the documentation section, and here you have instructions to connect to any of these engines directly from Python client or from R client. And as you could see here, I was trying to connect to H2O Steam client and did some exercise, and here you could see that I have installed the wheel here, and after it was there, H2O Steam clients, to learn how to connect this properly, because I did follow up the instructions as given in this section to connect with H2O cluster. And here is my driverless AI instance. If I want to start a new instance, but if I go, I already have one instance here. So as you could see here, I do have here, and I could start my own previously created driverless AI instance. I already have created a very small instance, and that instance I am starting. Similar to that, if I want to use the H2O open source instance, this instance is already there, and let's look into the instance detail. Here was my instance, and state is currently stopped. My objective is to restart my previously created H2O cluster. If I want to create a new H2O open source cluster, you can create the cluster name here and set the parameters what you would want, and you would be able to create a new cluster. Let me see here and say launch copy. So this is not my intentions are. This is stop, terminate, detail events. So I do not have a way to start the H2O open source instance. So I could do a launch copy. I will call it Avkash new H2O open source, and I will just use one CPU, and I just need a 2 gig or minimum 4 needed. Okay, uptime, so maximum uptime. Okay, that's okay. Let's launch the cluster. Okay, while it's launching, now we can come back to driverless, and as you could see here, my driverless AI instance is up and running. So I could launch the H2O.ai driverless, and here we are in the driverless, just using the H2O AI Cloud. As you can see here, that I can use the driverless AI. I can also use the H2O open source instance, which is up and running, just created. So let's launch this one too. Here we have open source instance up and running for user Avkash here. If you want to look into the cluster status, it tells you that what is the internal IP address, cluster is running, driverless AI is here, projects. I do not have any projects here. Let's create a very simple project. This is the new project. I do not have any data set, so add a data set, drag or drop with my local file system. That's the instance. So this is the file system where this driverless AI is running, or I could upload one of my file and get it ready, or I could just config the Amazon S3 URL, push the data. So the objective here was to show you how you could access the driverless AI directly from H2O AI Cloud, and it was easier for us to just get it started. Here, Cloud, and if you would want to connect the instance, this H2O open source instance from here over Steam, this is what you are going to be doing. So I think I just need to get this token, and just to make sure the URL is correct, because I am not sure if I would be using this URL, because this is where the URL was. So depending on my credentials here and my token, this instance which is running on my local machine will have connection to H2O open source server here. Let's look into the configuration or API token. Let's get a token. Here is the token related with these clusters, and if I come here and use the token and connect. Okay, so this is the server name, is steam.h2o.ai, and looks like it going through. It means that the documentation say steam.h2o.ai. It should say steam.cloud.h2o.ai. It's connecting. We will give a few more minutes for it to connect. So this is the place where we got the token, and if we would want to do the collaboration, means working together with multiple users, and it looks like we have to make it single tenant environment created, so that can also be enabled here. Trial tutorial is the documentation, which is this, similar to that. Let's come back here. This is still not connecting, but looks like the error is not coming. We will give few more minutes for it to see if it comes back. Finally, we hit the error, and the error looks like, okay, so failed to establish connection, operation timeouts it. So we have seen both of these H2O open source and driverless AI running here. The my models like the H2O MLOps pipeline was interesting, and here, because I do not have a project yet, so I will create separate videos for deep dive in each section and learn how we could do individual tasks at H2O AI Cloud. MLOps. Okay, that's our project here. Alerts, add model. So if we have a model, we could drop here, and I will log out from my MLOps, close it. I will also disconnect the driverless AI. So here I am, current user. I could log out from my driverless AI instance. And I do believe this will not work. So let me terminate the connection here. So because of this credentials, I don't want to make those credentials available. So I would terminate this instance. So instance is totally terminated. So that way, that key will no longer be applicable to anybody. And driverless AI is running. I would prefer to stop it. So I am not using any resources. Let's make sure stop. Let me terminate this one too, because I just do not want to use any resource. So that is clean. Driverless AI will also going to be stopped, and I will also initiate the terminate too. So instance termination is also added. Now I could close it. So no longer resources we are using. Instances, these are the instances which I have used based on these sample applications. So let's take a very quick look and recap what we have learned about H2O AI Cloud at a very first look. So it was very first time when I used H2O AI Cloud yesterday for an hour, and today I decided to create this my first unpacking video to share with you all. In this very first test drive, we have seen that H2O AI Cloud is a combination of various H2O applications are accessible for anyone to use very quickly, all in cloud. We have seen H2O open source cluster can be created in H2O AI Cloud, and the H2O driverless AI instance can also be created just by selecting the required configuration. We have also seen the H2O MLOps pipeline, where the models can be connected and monitored, and the drift can be tracked, and everything related with monitoring can be added into that section. After MLOps, we have also seen the apps area, where the AI applications can be reused. If you already have applications, you can import them, or if you do not have, you can take one of these applications which are available, and depending on how extensible these applications are, you could use your own data and you can apply those applications. So it's depend on application to application whether one application can be extended to work with your data, or some of these applications are just an example to show the capabilities of H2O AI application cloud. So if we try to summarize, we could say that the H2O AI Cloud is a combination of all the AI services, AI applications are available at H2O, and going forward, it will be very easy for the developers, IT folks, and the data scientists to use all of their tools directly at H2O AI Cloud. So that's all I had for you in this video, and I will be seeing you in my another video. That's all, my friends. I hope to see you in my next video. If you have enjoyed our content, please like it, share it, and subscribe it. At last, please be good and do good. Thank you.